Howie and Beastmode podcast, where we discuss all things business, including growth, strategy, and execution, as well as personal and professional development. Let's join Howie and Beastmode in conversation.
Oh man, not a whole lot. We are going to be shooting from the hip tonight and providing you some pretty authentic tactics and maybe just some insights and just kind of some wisdom maybe on stretching. So
yeah, it's nice. So, Beastmode and I are both in the field of sales and entrepreneurship. And so as part of that, we have to sell stuff. And so what we thought we'd do for you guys tonight is literally have a little bit of a talk back and forth. We've already started that. And then we thought, hey, why don't we let you guys in on the convo and share, ideas and tactics that we are personally, kind of like building out. So, yeah. So I think the first thing that we're talking about right now, that still sounds like a show, by the way. So guys, I'm going to try to talk more to Beast Mode than to you, and we're going to experiment with that, but give us grace because we're new at that. So Beast Mode, in terms of your business and my business, I think we're both in the same place where we want to generate some new leads, and we want to have, kind of like by sea and by air and by land, meaning multiple approaches. So you and I have talked a little bit about social and email. We haven't talked about events yet, but we should. But maybe kind of recap a little bit about where's your head at right now on, kind of using a little bit of a methodology to putting some of those things together.
Yeah, so let me just kind of recap what's on my brain right now. And so for the past hour, 20 minutes, we've been stretching each other's knowledge and capacity on sales and how to do it. And from my perspective, and I've felt this way for a long time, is there's such a canned approach that's almost rubber stamped that so many people do. And there's nothing wrong with it because it works. The problem that I feel about it is the lack of authenticity, genuineness of it, the personal touch, which is all about what we have been talking about doing. How can we make this process more personal, more creative in how we're engaging? And so that's really where I've been at this entire time. And you bring me back because I can get way off on being so personal and creating this unique touch that you have to rein me back into. We got to catalog things. We have to put things in HubSpot, put things here, and create a sequence, create something that's repeatable and something that we can track. Just because I know that it works, but we got to put the old school, the rubber stamp that we know works, but merge it with this transformation thinking, possibly a transformation strategy.
Thank you very much for dropping my company name.
Yes.
My company with no website yet.
Yeah. And so I think that's where we're at. I don't even remember what your question was, honestly.
No, Howie. We're just talking. I mean,
but I think I covered it.
I think you do. You cover the hyper personalization. I mean, I shared with you that as part of one of the job interviews, and I'm pretty close. I think I'm close to an offer now, actually. So yay! I'll let you guys know maybe on the next podcast, I hope. But yeah, I think I'm thinking really hard about my next role in terms of what I want to do in that swim lane of innovation. And Beast Mode has helped me a lot in thinking through social. I didn't take social seriously enough. And even if I thought about using social for sales, I was thinking about it. I didn't know how to operationalize it. And I think the way he and I have talked about it, I think is one of the things that we should share tonight. So, when you have your target list, of, first of all, you have to have a target list, right? So you need to understand who are your customers. Now for beast mode, it could easily be painters. It could easily be roofers. Service businesses would be pretty good for what he does. I know anybody would be good for him. Software companies would be fine. But I do think service business with repeatable and needs, a need for leads would be really good for the kind of stuff that you do for, branding and social and lead generation and all that good stuff. But I think that, using a methodology and using some of your good social science and your social disciplines, but having a process where I have a list of 100 accounts. Let's say they're all painters and plumbers and roofers and caterers. That might be good too. I've got this list, so it's like 100 accounts, and I'm going to go and I'm going to take the hours that it's going to take on LinkedIn and on Yelp to find those target names, and it's just going to be your whole weekend. And you guys might work for a big corporation who has access to an expensive database like ZoomInfo. Rock on. And you should not focus on, pure raw native looking on Yelp and on LinkedIn for businesses. Probably you should probably use your company's tool. But yeah, I think you start off with the company profiles of the people that you want to go after and the people that you have a little bit of an affinity, a little bit of passion for, or maybe a little bit of experience with. And then you have to double click down, and then you got to find out who your people are. And that's when Beast Mode's journey starts of his social development, right? And I think one of the things that I saw in Sarah Brazer's talk recently in the Sales Success, I think it's called Sales Success Summit. You guys can Google that and click on Sarah Brazer from Gong, her talk. But she talks about, some of the same things that Beast Mode talks about, which is authenticity. You don't connect immediately on social and then sell to them and all that. But talk to them a little bit about some of the steps that you might, let's say, okay, so say now, okay, they've got their 100, they blew their weekend, their wives are mad, their husbands are mad, but they got their freaking 100 accounts and they've got 1 to 2 contacts per 100 accounts. So they maybe got like 150 people, okay? How can they start thinking about engaging those people to eventually generate some raised hands and some leads?
Yeah, one of the first things that I like to do is provide insight that's semi-specific, because you want it to be relevant. You don't want it so generic that it's not useful, but you want to provide some insight that they can literally use that same day. And again, some of that is, it may be a little bit of a secret that you have. I know there's a Gary Vee quote in there that you like to say about giving things away. And then part of the way I love to engage potential clients, future clients, is by engaging what they're already doing. So they're creating and sharing content and just getting on there and uplifting their current content without any frame of reference to me, who I am, what I'm doing, what my company is, but just saying, wonderful, this article is tremendous. I really received this from it. Because most of the like, shares, comments are not genuine, and when you get one, you know it. And so
hey guys, hang on a second. Beast Mode is so right. I want to just support him. Guys, you can smell when someone connects to you on LinkedIn or Facebook, especially LinkedIn. You can smell when a pitch is coming.
Yeah.
And he's not wrong.
And so when you have that genuine nature of a touch, it's super memorable. I'm telling you, people will remember your name when you comment genuinely. I mean, and I'm not talking about writing a novel, but just, a lot of times I have hashtags that I love to use that are very powerful. And my favorite one that I love to use is rooting for you. Hashtag rooting, the number 4 and the lowercase u, rooting for you. Somebody puts a post out there and says, hey, I lost my job, rooting for you. Okay, most people are saying, hey, you go get just this canned phrases that everybody uses, but now you get a rooting for you, and it's totally unique. Um,
It
you
is.
know,
It's
or
compassionate too, and who doesn't want compassion?
yeah, or I'll share that post and say rooting for you. Now I just open you up to my network, um, with a comment that I'm rooting for you. So anybody who sees it can see that I'm supporting you. But I have so many that are like that I'm looking for a way for you to remember our conversation without slapping a sales pitch.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
so that's kind of the initial touch.
I have people that have developed a relationship with me over social, but it's like seriously, honestly, beast mode. It's one in 150. No one does that. Everybody just wants to sell to me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you guys now know is that you have to figure out what your verticals are and go. I wouldn't necessarily go after just everybody in your neighborhood. Choose your vertical, choose your accounts, take the time to find the right people, the right contacts, build a list. Probably going to want to have that in Excel or something. Beast Mode and I, though, are really a fan of the free version of HubSpot. If you're going to do the
Yeah.
work, you might as well put it into there.
Yeah.
Um, and then
Really
when you
helps.
send people, it does. And when people email, then you can see when they're opening the emails and stuff like that, which is really valuable. That all becomes activity history for that account and for that contact. But some of the things that so we talked about authenticity a little bit. Some of the specific tactics, though.
Yeah.
So when we were talking, because literally this is straight out of the authentic pipeline for me and him. Um,
Yeah.
but we talked about step number one might be that you simply look at their profile because it's
Yeah.
a little bit flattering if someone looks at your profile, or at least you're like, or if it's not flattering, it's at least interesting that someone looked at your profile on LinkedIn, right? I would say the majority, not everybody, but the majority of people are aware when someone looks at their profile, right? So it's kind of nice, like, oh, they noticed me, that's cool, right? And then you talked about, now what about engagement? So looking at their profile might be step one,
Yeah.
but maybe on the same day, I think you had some other techniques that you and I talked about of some other ways you can engage them with specific tactics too. What are those?
Besides liking and commenting on posts,
Yeah, that's
sharing.
what I'm heading for. Yeah.
Okay.
So step
Yeah.
one was like just looking at their profile, which
Yeah.
gives them, they get like a little notification out of doing that. But
Yeah.
then you kind of hinted to it. So talk about those.
Yeah. And it's just taking a moment to find something that they've already produced, some content, and it doesn't matter what it is, honestly, but something that they've produced. They put thought into it, so it matters to them. If you haven't thought about that, think about that right now. Somebody put that post online and it matters to them. That's why they shared it. That's why they made it public so everybody could see it. And when you take time to not only like it, because everybody likes to like, you got those like groups that are going now where they tag 100 people and everybody likes and whatever. That's,
Yeah, these pods. Yeah.
yeah. Not only is that super annoying when you get tagged in one of those, but it's so ungenuine.
Yeah.
you know but whenever you find a genuine post and you make a genuine comment or have a genuine phrase like I say, um, it really speaks volumes to that person, and it has nothing to do with I'm trying to sell you, I'm trying to convert you. I it number one, it allows them, it lets their guard down.
So I have
it,
a friend of mine that I am now friends with, and we're both unemployed. But she said something that touched my heart in a genuine way. She was featured on CNBC, and it was just a sad thing, and it was cool, and her kids were sad that she lost her job during COVID, blah blah blah, whatever. And so I just said something. Actually, I forgot to. I somehow ran across that, and I forgot to say anything. Her name is Allie, and you know, somehow I just remembered to do it a while later. And it might have been like 3 or 4 weeks later, but I was like, hey, by the way, it's been a little while, but I wanted to let you know that I really appreciate your article. And I know what it's like to have your kids sad for you that you lost your job, because I've lost my job and my kids were sad and quite distressed as well. So, hey, good on you. And, and then we ended up having a virtual coffee and we keep in touch, how's it going with your job search? And the thing is, if I wanted to sell her something at some point, she'd be the perfect audience. Why? Because I'm 100% authentic. So I think the game that Beast Mode is telling you is basically don't let it be a game, because Allie could have smelled that, or if she was trying to sell me something, then I could have smelled it, right? But it's
Yeah.
not. It's that I care, and I was interested because I have daughters too, and my kids were crying and sad and freaked out when I lost my job for COVID too. Same dang story. And so there's that authentic connection. So I think, what you can learn from that is that Beast Mode said, look at their stuff. They cared enough to post something. Why? Have a little empathy, right? Maybe you're not a high empathy person. That's cool. I get it. But still, you can appreciate just in your logic that they posted that. So like on that, comment. Now, talk to me about commenting though. What does that mean? What do you mean commenting on that?
Yeah, I mean, commenting is so important in this step, um, just because again, that's where you have the opportunity to speak directly to the person uh, publicly. Because I mean, when you DM somebody or you email somebody, again, you're crossing a barrier that maybe they haven't invited you in. When they do a public post, they invite you in and they're looking for a response. And I'm telling you, they're looking for genuine responses. And whenever you provide one, you now provide access to receive. Uh, you open yourself up to where they can receive an email or a DM or something that's can be an extension. Again, I'm still not even to a sales yet. I may just further that because they may come back and like your comment, or come back and say, hey, I really appreciate that, Howie. That really means a lot. Well, now I can come back in. Now I'm on to step two, where now I'll send a message, but I won't just type it. I'll send an audio message, continuing the conversation. And those audio messages, I think you can do a full minute. I generally
Yeah, you can.
try to keep it less than that, but I'm just thank you. And a lot of times, hey, thank you for the opportunity for me to be able to share with you. I'm grateful for that. And I look forward to listening and learning from you, something along those lines. And it just
Mhm.
opens that door for, well, you're different, you know?
Well, and talk to them a little bit about, okay, so you built your list, now you got your contacts. It's in, we hope it's in HubSpot. If it's got to be in Excel, fine. Good luck with that though, scaling wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're gonna go find them on LinkedIn. You're gonna look at their profile, which gives them a notification. You're gonna go like a post that they've got, and some people don't post. Sorry, they just don't. And then if they do post stuff, then you can like it. And then as Beast Mode says, you can comment. Take some time. If you just say good one, right?
Yeah.
That could come across as spammy or self-serving, or you're working that some people work the LinkedIn algorithm by just commenting a lot. And if you're an algorithm worker, then we're not really your podcast. You can go do that, and that's fine. But we're about selling and relationship building authentically, right?
Yeah.
So that, and then you started hinting a little bit about there will come a time
Yeah. No,
when
of course.
you can say something to them. You actually have this in a set of steps, and you provide
Yeah.
this to clients as a business, and you teach clients how to do this as an operation, or you can do it for them. So I don't want you to give away the formula, but
Mhm.
talk a little bit about a recent experience you had where you got all kinds of texts and email, few calls, with kind of following a little bit of this. Maybe what's the quick version of that?
Yeah. So before I do that, real quick,
Yeah.
you have to remember that, and I, this information is from a talk that I've done on branding and things like that. But
Yep.
you have to remember that people, when they're making a purchase, and it doesn't matter if they're at work making a purchase or they're at 7-Eleven buying a drink. It doesn't matter. Yes, part of it is about your sale. Part of it is about your product. Some of it's about your price. but you have to understand people buy things from people they trust. That's number one, and then they move on to people make purchase decisions rooted in as much emotional impulses as they do logical facts. And these are just, so we're tapping into these other strategies. Um, Buyers, they're buying into a story. And so now if I'm commenting and I'm engaging as a friend, now their story's different. I'm not a salesperson. I'm a friend. I'm a Facebook friend, or I'm a LinkedIn friend. Now I'm different, you know. And again, part of the reason I do agree with Howie's statement earlier about it's helpful to clarify, so you're not, if you got 30,000 connections, you're not hitting all 30, but you do realize that buyers travel in packs. And so if you hit one, then there's a good chance you can hit a lot of people. Meaning if you make a sale to somebody, that whoever that person knows, there's a good chance they're going to tell everybody else. But so to get back to what Howie was saying, so one of the things I like to do is, email is important because it's a typical strategy that most people like. That's the rubber stamp that we were talking about earlier. It's not my favorite. I don't really like to do emails, but I know it has to be done because you want to touch them in their work. You can give a more salesy approach there, but I can come and I can take the same insight that I provided to a company email. I can consolidate it, make it specific and personal, and send it in a message that's clear, concise. So I touched it 2 times, but then at the same time, I'm able to come in within the same given time frame, whether it's a week in between all this, where I'm sending you a personalized email, I'm sending you a personalized message, and I'm liking and commenting. The liking and commenting is just for the fact that you can remember that this person's putting all this together. And I didn't have to blow your door down and call you 35 times. Now, when I do call you and I do leave a message, you're going to say, that's the guy who commented on my post and he said this. Yeah. Let me touch base with that guy and see,
This approach works, guys. I know you got a lot of interaction back and forth from doing that. Any, I don't want you to give away all the sauce, but in general, what's your feeling about your response?
The responses are tremendous. My response rate is to when I do basically there's 4 points that I just gave you: the email, the message, the comment, and then a lot of times there is a follow-up, just kind of a thank you or I appreciate your insight kind of thing. When I follow that up with my 4th touch point, which is the personalized voice message.
Okay, the voicemail. Okay.
That is where the response rate is almost 90%. If
guys,
not higher
do you
than
even
that.
Understand? So our listening audience is growing. I mean, I hope that you guys understand the experimental work that you just heard from. Okay. After only 4 social touches, 4 or 5, maybe including reading, looking at their profile, but after that kind of that cadence or that series of touches, he had a 90% response rate, right? Even if you get a 60% response rate, because markets vary, timing, approach, maybe your messaging isn't as crisp. I mean, he's he's a branding person, so whatever. But still, that's a nice number to have. That's a really powerful number to have. And I hadn't thought of using the in-mail. By the way, guys, when he says messages, he means the LinkedIn message platform, the in-mail, that message. And then he also said emails. Those are separate things. Okay. That's a 2-touch deal there. So he did do external touch. Am I wrong? You did external touch too?
True.
Yeah. With email. Yeah. So so some of those, so just to kind of recap, and I know we're not trying to give away the farm, but we want to give you enough that it's a good podcast. And we also don't want to be, just like Gary Vee, like you said, he's not afraid of giving it all away. So we shouldn't be either, frankly. And Shay Rowbottom is the same way, actually.
You still have to know what to say. I could tell you how to do it, but you have to know what to say.
Yeah, so. He still has that value for you. plus who has the time, sometimes people don't have the time. And so
Yeah.
having someone do operationalize that for them can be really valuable. But yeah, so, once you got your list and you've looked at their profile, you liked, you commented, you send
Mm.
them a message, you send them an email. And if you don't know what their email address is, there's a variety of platforms out there that will give you the email address, including, I think, hunter.io will do it. And you get like 150 or 100 free a month. Okay. So they'll tell you the email address, but you have to put in the name, which is fine. So hunter.io is decent. There's some other free email checking platforms. So you can build your email database with that too. And that's part of your process. And then was it your last step, which was the
The
do it
voice message. The
the
voice message.
the voicemail? And the voicemail, guys, is not on their office phone. You can do
No.
that. You can do that too, right? And that's fine because a lot of people don't leave voicemails these days. So you might set yourself apart. But the move that worked best for Beast Mode was the voicemail in LinkedIn messages.
Mm. And I will tell you, and this is kind of an epiphany that I've had while you were doing your recap, is as I increased my, I want to say intensity, but it's more my intimacy with the candidate, they increase theirs back to me almost 100% of the time.
Oh wow.
I'm telling you. So you wouldn't be surprised how. So I'm doing. I view you. Now you view me. I like and comment on you. You like and comment on me. I send now the emails are totally different. That one is not as high, but because again, I think the strategy is
It's
people are
multi-channel. That's okay.
people are pounding that, but again, what's going to separate that email? They're going to come back and view it again and again is this other thing. But what I'm saying is, you wouldn't believe how many times I get a voicemail, a voice message back saying that was unbelievable.
I'm
We need to
not.
connect.
I'm not part of Jordan's company, JL Development, by the way, and I don't get paid for this. But I will say, um, I know he'll do consulting on how to do this, and we're going to pretty much tell you on the podcast. By the way, it'll probably take us 2 weeks. By the way, just to let you know. But I know he'll do sessions for your business that are contextualized to your business. The other thing I will say is that he will also operationalize this and just do this for you. So
Yep.
keep that in mind if you want. And hey, maybe transformation strategies can afford him at some point. Right now we're we're pre-revenue. That's the hot way of saying it. We're pre-revenue. We have nothing to offer right now. But anyway, yeah. So I think that's really good. A really good start on the social side. What I really want to shift into, and how many minutes do I have left? By the way, we're just talking.
Just a couple.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I might start on this, and then I want to. I might pick it up next week, actually.
Yeah. Tease it.
But let's maybe tease it a little bit. And I think one of the real strong benefits that I know a lot of the salesy people. So you might be a real estate agent, okay? This approach is magic for that, okay?
Yeah.
It's really magic for any sales motion, higher grade than like a cheap retail purchase. You know what I mean? Like anything kind of seriously value added, like painting a house or real estate deal or, not going to the dry cleaners. This probably is not for that. Um, but, and I could be wrong about that. But yeah, anything of those that are of value though you want to track. And so HubSpot, you can manually do it in Excel if you must. But in HubSpot, it's really easy to log in activity. And you can even have a situation where you're typing or pasting something into a LinkedIn email message, and then you're just copying that exact same text and you're logging that into HubSpot as you'll probably, since they don't have a button for InMail, you probably log it as an email. And then, you'll have, here's exactly what I said on this message to this person. And here's the date and here's the time and all of that. And so the value, the little commercial maybe that we'll go into next week on kind of continuing to build this process out for you guys. And we're just living this. So that's why it's so interesting to us. You probably sense our energy is really, really good on this. It's because we love this and we have to do this to survive. In my next job, I'll be doing this, and Beast Mode's doing this right now in his company. But yeah, I think if you log all your activity in HubSpot, then what do you get out of that? What do you think you get out of that? you get the evidence trail of what you've done with that customer so you don't repeat yourself and look stupid. You also start to understand a pattern of, if I do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, if I do that, then I know that I'll start having some touches. And here's a great way to do it. I just talked to Beastmode about this a few minutes ago, but let's say like on his last campaign, I think he had 7 or 8, maybe let's just say he had 10 responses though. Okay. Like 10 responses could be a game changer for some of you guys as businesses, right? So out of 10 responses, if I have done a good job and I've logged everything in HubSpot, all I have to do is a little bit of a research project of what was the pattern of what I did to get those 10 leads, right? And then I can go target another 100 accounts, right? And use that same process. And, I could experiment a little bit too, but I can use those same steps and that same messaging. And I could hopefully expect another, 7 to 10 leads from that process, right? And sophisticated organizations get into A/B testing. Well, they'll run 100 accounts, or maybe that's too many because maybe that's your whole list for your business. But maybe you run 40 accounts through A messaging sequence, 40 accounts through B messaging sequence, and see which one does better, right? A lot of people say in this new sort of sequence-based selling world that we're kind of heading into, that you have to A/B everything. And I haven't done a lot of that, so I look forward to that in my new company, actually, doing more A/B testing. But yeah, I think with the commercial, I want to leave with on Beastmode, and you can jump on it and wrap it up and add any comments you want to it. But is that I think we do need to log our activity for our own good.
Yeah. And as somebody who really hates doing that, I'm really thankful for Howie and the amount of encouragement and the amount of patience that he's gone to help walk me through that process. Just because it's not my forte. It's not something that I enjoy doing. Literally hurts me physically when we got that started. But again, being where we are now with HubSpot and the touches and the tracking, and just being able to come back and analyze that information, like we've talked about with data in the past and things like that. It's the value that it has is tremendous. And so I look forward to furthering not only this conversation next week and allowing Howie a little bit more vocal time to share, but also learning. That is really where Howie shines. And so I'm just as excited for that as I hope that you guys are. Feel free to continue to check out our podcast everywhere that you can think of, online, YouTube, Audible, Amazon, Google Podcast, everywhere, iTunes. But then also be sure to share with your friends. This information is such a value add to everybody. And we love to further this conversation with you. So if you find it, then comment and share, and we'd love to pick that up. So
Awesome.
we'll see you next week.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right.